Hey, it's Shane bringing you this week's episode of How's the Market, Pensacola. Actually, a little quieter, not quite the same setup I normally have. That's because my wife and I decided this past weekend we would head out of town for just a minute. And yesterday afternoon, I was doing this.
That's it. Bang.
For some of you who don't know what that is, over at Animal Kingdom, they opened up the new Pandora area off of the Avatar movie. It was kind of fun. So we shot over down to Orlando. We went down, just her and I, for a little weekend getaway. She was been working her butt off because it's Mother's Day, and for those of you who don't know, she's in the flower business. So yeah, we shot out of town for a couple of days. We're actually heading back into town today, but just because I'm out of town doesn't mean I don't want to shoot this show because I know that some people are actually getting used to me shooting it every Monday. So we're gonna still get it up and get it going. It may be a little quicker. It may be a little quicker than that.
I'm a man on a mission.
My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and
Don't need no permission.
I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?
So, as always, let's go to this slide right here. This describes whether it's a neutral market, a seller's market, or a buyer's market. I start every episode going with this. If you've got between 6 and 7 months, you're in a neutral market. If you have greater than 7 months, you're in a buyer's market. And if you have less than 6 months, you have a seller's market. Less than 3 is considered a hyper seller's market. Greater than 9 is considered a hyper buyer's market. So let's take a look and see where we are. We're going to start with Escambia County here. And if you remembered last week, we'll talk about Santa Rosa County in a minute. So we'll just skip there. In Escambia County, anything under 200,000 is considered a hyper seller's market. I got some new listings coming on this week. Everywhere, I know I got one that's coming on at 150. So we're in this price point right here, 1.7 months. So we'll be curious to see what happens. I think it comes on late this week. We'll be curious to see how that goes soon. So anything under 200,000 is considered a hyper seller's market. Anything under 350,000 is considered a seller's market. So between that 200 and 350 is still a seller's market. It's just not a hyper seller's market. So you can push the envelope as a seller a little, maybe not quite as much. Between 350 and 450, that is a neutral market. That's gone up a little bit. We've seen some inventory come into that price point, and I'm about to add some inventory to that price point. So that is a neutral market. We've got to seriously look at our marketing and how we frame not only purchases if you're buying in that area, but how sellers look at negotiating, because both sides, there's a neutral market there. All right. We still have that little pocket in Escambia County, 450 to 500, 10.3 months worth of inventory. That is a hyper buyer's market. So if you're buying in that price point, you can be pretty aggressive with your purchase, with your offer prices, because, well, it's that way. Now, I do know some sellers in town that are in that price point and are refusing to negotiate. And that may be why the inventory is still there. It's kind of a harsh thing to say, but that may be why the inventory is still there, because, well, that is a neutral market, so you have to be willing to negotiate. Or excuse me, that's a hyper buyer's market. Between 5 and 550, we're back down to a neutral market. Not a whole lot of properties, only 20 properties active right now. And then anything above 550 is definitely a hyper buyer's market. The 650 to 700 has got almost 3 years worth of inventory. But like I said last week, that's not necessarily meaning actual inventory, houses wise, because there's only 16 active. There's just not an appetite for that price point. So that's why it says 32 properties available. Let's shoot over to Santa Rosa County, because like I said last week, this is the first time I'd ever saw this. Looks like we're still there. 0 to 50,000, nothing, nada, zero, zip, zilch. There is nothing in the county active under $50,000. So if you have something, even a lot, that you paid $5,000 for, and you're maybe considering selling it for 30 or 40, I mean, as long as you didn't pay $5,000 for it last week, give me a call, because there's nothing. You would be the only game in town. And again, in Santa Rosa County, anything under $250,000 is considered a hyper seller's market because the 2 to 250 in Santa Rosa County is at 2.5 months, whereas in Escambia County it's about 3.2, if I remember correctly. So between 250 and what is that, 450? Between 250 and 450, this actually came from a neutral. So that 4 to 450 was a neutral last week. It's now creeped into a seller's market. All right, these aren't hyper seller's markets, so again, you can negotiate some, you can price it some, but if you think that the value is at 372 and you maybe want to price it at 380, okay, we can do that. You think the value is at 372, don't come in at 425. It is a seller's market at those price points, but not a hyper seller's. Between 450 and 500 is a flat neutral market. If you remember the first slide, 6 months, flat neutral market. And so that's exactly what that is. Between 5 and 550, we've seen some inventory pickup. So that's a now hyper buyer's market. Matter of fact, the rest of the county is now, or the rest of the price points are now a hyper buyer's market with that same 650 to 700 in Santa Rosa County being almost 3 years worth of inventory. So if you're in that price point, you have got to be very aggressive and understand that the appetite in that price point is just not very much. All right. So that's what I got for you today from lovely Pandora World here. This actually looks like my hotel room for some reason, not Pandora World. Anyways, there's a couple of favors I always ask. If you found any value in this, do me a favor, like, comment, share. Okay. Like it. I don't know if you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. Like it, like the page, subscribe. Comment, give me a comment what you would like to see on some of these episodes, and then share the post. That really helps me out quite a bit. I told you it was going to be a little shorter this week. It's going to be a little shorter. We went over no fluff, no nothing. We just went over numbers. So there's your stuff for May 20th, 2019 in Escambia and Santa Rosa County. Have a great week.
I'm a man on a mission.
My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there, and
Don't need no permission.
I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?